king came into our room. We only found, I believe, the key, right? We only have the key, but he has the box. And what should we do? I mean, maybe we should just football tackle him, steal the box, and run away? I guess not. That would probably not be a good idea, considering he has a sword, right? He has his sword drawn. Well, I guess Waltz might have a plan, I guess. So, should I trust him? I mean, probably. Oh, let's just, like, stay in place. Maybe he'll do something. I nodded Waltz. He steps off the curtains and raises his hands in surrender. Forgive me, Your Majesty. Oh, I know you. No, you do? I think they hinted that Waltz and the king actually knew each other in the last route, I believe, or some other route. You were Hidir's apprentice. Waltz, was it? I remember then that Waltz had worked for Mother, so naturally the king would know who he was. It's been a while, Your Majesty. I'm honored you still remember me. You haven't changed. Not at all. You literally haven't changed. You've turned into a kid. So Hidir really did curse you for betraying her. Betraying her? Betraying her how? The king places his sword back in its scabbard. I have no idea what you're doing here now, but the king surprises us by getting down on one knee and bowing to Waltz. Your Majesty, you shouldn't. I was never able to thank you after the war. So, thank you. Okay, he's very appreciative of Waltz, I guess. You did so much for our kingdom, Waltz. So thank you. We owe you our lives. If only all witches were as good as you. Okay, so I guess there's no misunderstanding, you know. But I was thinking, you know, maybe if he knew he was Hidir's apprentice and everything, but didn't know about the betrayal, he could have, like, you know, stabbed Waltz in the face or something. I don't know, but I guess not. He knows what happened. The king stands once again, his posture stiff and straight. There are more of us than you think, Your Majesty. I am lost. What are they talking about? But I didn't do it for the kingdom. Waltz turns to look at me suddenly, a small smile on his face. I did it for her. Her? Who are you talking about? Waltz nods his head at me. It's alright, Lucette. Okay, now we can, I guess, come out of our hiding place. I slide out of my hiding place and stand in front of the king. It's been months since I last saw him. The king's eyes widen as he looks at me. You're the girl from the gates. You remember me? It's more like I find it impossible to forget you. What? I have a lot of questions for the two of you, but the most important is why you're both in this room. Regardless of the fact that I know you, Waltz, you've still broken into the palace. We would not have done it if we did not have to. I steel myself for further scolding when the king turns to look at me. That box you're holding, we needed to break Waltz's curse. How did you come to have it, Your Majesty? The king looks down at the box as if only noticing it for the first time. I was in this room the other day and noticed a chip on the side of the box. I took it to get it fixed. A chip? I did drop it once a while back, but I did not think to get it fixed myself. Why would you do that? The king looks around the room, a faraway look in his eyes. This room is special to me, though I do not know why. I feel like this room and I are both waiting for someone to return, and everything must be perfect for when they do. I feel my chest tighten, even as the king huffs a derisive laugh. What am I saying? He cannot miss me when he does not remember me. He can't. Right? But if this box is all that you require, Waltz, you may have it. It is the least I can do after all that you've done for us. The king holds out the box to Waltz, who reaches out to take it. Okay, that was easy. No one to stop us. You know, no queen, or deer anyway. Because I say queen, you know, sometimes it can also mean Ophelia, I guess, but when I say queen, I mean the witch queen, you know. I'll thank you, Your Majesty. Look who we have here. Okay, who's this? Well, I did say no one stop us, but actually there's at least, well, actually three people who would stop us. Who would it be? It's... We all freeze at the sound of the new voice. I turn and find an all too familiar face, or an all too familiar figure rather, leaning against the doorway, a mischievous grin on his face. What a sweet little reunion.
Arg.
Arg. The new chapter. Betrayals. Back to tense music. Varg. I told you I'd come back for you, didn't I? Varg taps his cane on the floor, creating a shockwave of powerful energy that blasts us all across the room. The impact of the magic forces me against the wall. I collapse to my knees, pain thrumming in my head. The king collapses somewhere nearby, and I hear the crack of the box as it lands on the ground a few feet away from us. Waltz holds out his hand, I take it and he helps me back to my feet. Lucette, are you alright? Yes. Lucette? The king looks at me quizzically, but his gaze does not linger. He looks toward Varg, his eyes narrowed. Did the king remember who I was? Maybe hurt his head enough so that he remembers now? I don't know, that's how it works, I guess. At least in anime, if you have amnesia or whatever, just hit your head hard enough and you remember everything, I guess. I don't know. Your Majesty, are you hurt? The king shakes his head at Waltz before turning his attention to Varg, his eyebrows furrowed. Who is this man? Your Majesty, this person is working for the Wicked Witches. What? Wait, what happened to Julian and Garland? They were just outside the door. Yeah, and also, somehow the king also, went by as they were guarding the door. The least they could do is warn us or something, or unless they maybe just went somewhere else because for some reason, I don't know. What did you do to them? Varg cocks his head to the side. Who? The guards just outside this door. I'm sure they must have hid themselves when they saw the king come into this room, but they still should have been able to see Varg coming. Yeah, okay, maybe that's the theory. Guards? I'm afraid I don't know what you're talking about, Princess. Varg seems like he's telling the truth, but I cannot trust him. Please, let them be safe. I see Neverland a few feet from us. I can try to grab it, but Varg will probably thwart my attempt with magic. I have to wait for an opening. I'll distract him. While I do that, the both of you need to run. What? I eye Varg. He looks at the three of us with his lips slightly quirked, as if he's amused. This isn't the time to argue with me, Lucette. Alright, I mean... I don't know, at the same time, because Lucette, I don't like her just being like a damsel in distress all the time, just listening to whatever everyone else tells her to do. Sometimes you want to be defiant, and do something they don't expect, but and again, we might do more harm than good if we stay here. Okay, well, we'll just go. I nod him. Waltz extends his hand and snaps his fingers. Hundreds of flower petals suddenly appear in midair. It's like being in the middle of a storm of flowers. Varg looks startled. He squints through the flowers. You think this little parlor trick is gonna save anyone? Go! Let's go. I grab the king's hand and pull him with me toward the door. Not so fast. Varg strikes his cane against the floor once more, conjuring a strong wind that blows all the petals away and clears the room. You know that I'm not letting you get away this time, Princess. The king draws his sword and motions for us to stand behind him. Father, his cane is enchanted. You cannot hold him with just a blade. Father? I am at a loss for words. It's been a long time since I called him that. Much to my surprise, the king's lips pull into a soft smile. You said that at the gates that one day, when you were seeking an audience with me. I've not even been able to forget that day. Before I can say anything in return, a familiarly smooth voice breaks the ensuing silence. Oh, I wonder where all these voices are coming from. Okay, is it the other? Yes, the other villain, Mithros. A familiar man steps into the doorway, inspects everyone in the room quietly. Mithros! Hey Mithros, you're totally a good guy, right? Your Majesty. Quickly, summon the knights. We have an intruder in the palace. He gestures at Varg, who looks unperturbed. An intruder, you say? Sir Mythos turns to Varg. At first his expression is impassive, but then slowly his lips begin to edge into a sly smile. You're such a ruffian, Varg. Look at all of this property destruction. I can only gape at Sir Mythos in shock. If he knows Varg, then he's most certainly affiliated with the witches. You know this man? Explain yourself, Mythos. We're all thrown off guard by Sir Mythos' laughing. Soon his laugh becomes a mad cackle. There's a strange brightness in his eyes that sends shivers down my spine. My apologies, Your Majesty. I'm just amused at my servants' atrocious behavior. At ease, Varg. Sir Mythos gestures at Varg, a silent command to lower his cane. Varg obeys him before moving to a corner of the room and leaning against the wall with disinterest. Don't worry, Your Majesty. You're not the one we're after. What? Sir Mythos turns his sly smile on me, and I instinctively take a step back. The princess is the lady we need to escort. Escort? Princess? This girl is a princess? That is correct. It is a shame you can't remember your own daughter, even though she stands right in front of you. Enough of your vagueness. Explain yourself. The king's grip on the hilt of his sword tightens. I am not obliged to explain everything to you. Try thinking on your own for a change, Your Majesty. Mythos! The Mythos ignores the king's outburst and turns his attention to Waltz. He visibly stiffens and his sly smile contorts into a grimace. Yeah, because they were both students of Adir, so... And look what we have here. I see that the traitor has returned to the palace. Waltz stares at him, looking puzzled. Sir Mythos tilts his head to the side and offers Waltz a lopsided smile. You still look the same as you did back then. I did not think it was possible for you to grow any weaker, Waltz Cresswell. Mythos, I see. Waltz suddenly looks melancholy as he stares at Sir Mythos. Waltz, what's going on? This man's real name is Myth, and he is a witch, same as me. It appears that he's been using a powerful glamour to conceal his real identity. If I hadn't been cursed, I would have been able to tell right away. I would not give yourself so much credit, Cresswell. Waltz narrows his eyes but says nothing. I glance between the two of them, confused. But how do you know him? He secretly worked for your mother. Practically worshipped her like a weird stalker. It's like he should really find a hobby. Anyway, I was the only other person he knew of his existence as a witch outside of the Tender Brown Bearer. A witch? I trusted you, Mythos. The king says the words through gritted teeth, his face contorted in anger. Sir Mythos flicks a wrist. It is a dismissive gesture, and he still looks amused. Excuse me. What a hypocrite you are, Your Majesty. He eyes Waltz. You're willing to play nice with some witches, but not others. This bias is what drove us witches to madness in the first place. Sir Mythos faces the king with a grin. You human hypocrites are so easy to manipulate. It is pathetic. Mythos! The king charges towards Sir Mythos with his sword held high. Your Majesty, don't! You're like a muggle. Don't fight a witch, you'll lose. Like, literally, you don't win unless you get the element of surprise, I guess, and cut off his arm, but otherwise, you know, like a normal human, can't really stand a chance. The king's sword never touches Sir Mythos. Sir Mythos only has to hold of his hand, and suddenly an invisible force pushes the king back. He crashes into one of my shelves, knocking down my dolls. My dolls? Not my dolls! I mean, Your Majesty. I quickly run to his side to help him up. Thankfully, he does not seem to have any major wounds. I think there was a witch working in the palace this whole time. Not a good kind of witch either. I was too careless. Yeah. You're rejoiced, Your Majesty. I still have more surprises for you. Yorokobe, Your Majesty. Anyway. I will never forgive this betrayal, Mythos. Actually, when you think about it, yeah, Mythos, I guess he kind of reminds you of Kirei. Sort of. Maybe not as, maybe not as badass as Kirei, but, sort of. You know, in the sense, like, he's smug, he's a snake, you know. He tricks everyone. Tricks everyone in the sense that he seems to be a good guy, but obviously he is the bad guy, at least according to the player. You know, even Lucette even says he gives off a bad vibe. You know, Kirei is the same way. You know, everyone assumes he's a good guy, but like, not the player. The player knows he's not exactly a good guy. Anyway. Betrayal? I'm afraid you've been played for a fool this entire time, Your Majesty. My loyalty has always been reserved for Lady Hadir and no one else. Myth, I can't imagine what you would hope to gain from all this. Hadir is long gone. Sir Mythos' eyes flash as he turns a severe glare on Waltz. His voice is seething with venom when he speaks. Had it not been for you, traitor, she would still be here. The king mentioned Waltz's betrayal. Sir Mythos called him a traitor. What exactly did Waltz do? Sir Mythos beckons me forward with a gesture of his hand. Now if you please, princess. Come with us if you don't want them to get hurt. Waltz immediately stands in front of me. I won't let you take her. In your current form, you don't stand a chance. I will make certain that you never break your curse, Waltz. This whole thing was a setup, a trap. I'm sorry, Waltz. This is my fault. No, it was mine. The reason we came was to break my curse. My eyes once again flit to the box on the floor. Neverland is just a few steps away from me. Neverland. Waltz's eyes follow mine to the box. He leans back and whispers to me. You have to get the box and break my curse. I feel for the key inside my pocket. If Waltz's true magic is indeed sealed in that box, then releasing it might give us a chance of victory. And Mythos and Var do not seem to have caught on to the fact that the object that will break Waltz's curse is right at their feet. Okay. The king moves to stand beside Waltz and draws his sword again, his body a shield. Your Majesty, I will not let you take this girl. You have to go through me first. You can't do this. Lucette, I've always loved that name. I thought if I ever had a daughter, I would give her that name. You don't say. Magic makes even the impossible possible. You must truly be my daughter, yes? Tears start to blur my vision. Oh, how disgustingly touching. It seems as if I would just have to deal with you first. No! No! I rush toward the box at the same time Mythos casts his spell. Varg lunges toward me, his hands reaching for me. But he's too late. By the time he grabs me, I've already inserted the key into Neverland. I give it one definite twist, and hear the click of the box as it pops open. Whoop. White flashes through the room, blinding me. Suddenly, I feel a strong arm around me, holding me tightly, protectively. When I open my eyes, it is Waltz I see. Even several years older, I still recognize him. Okay, I guess he turns in adult form quite sooner in this route. You know, he's no longer a 20-year-old Shota. He's just a 20-year-old. Waltz? Hey there, little star. Seems like the tide has turned, Myth. And we don't have to worry about, the legality of this of this relationship anymore. Anyway, Waltz grins, and I see the confidence and expression that I've never seen before. Sir Mythos' frown has only become more severe. Fool! I will show you that I was the favored apprentice. Be careful not to hurt the princess, Mythos. Varg's voice is almost teasing, but Sir Mythos does not seem to care. I didn't plan on it. Sir Mythos gestures his hand in a sweeping gesture. The beginnings of a spell gather at his fingertips. Waltz looks at me and smiles reassuringly. Now when I say that I can protect you, Lucette, I definitely can. Whoosh! That's the first time is the actual, spell animation coming from the actual hand. Waltz holds out his hand just before Sir Mythos' magic reaches us. An invisible barrier suddenly appears in front of us, thwarting Sir Mythos' magic. Seems like I'm not as rusty as I thought I would be. Waltz snaps his fingers and effortlessly creates a dark wave that pushes both Sir Mythos and Varg to the wall. Ugh. Let's go. And that was easy, again, his curse. Every time I feel like in the beginning, all the beginning routes, we break the other people's, or the other person's curse a lot later, near the end. But now we just like snap and we just already break the curse, right? Near the middle. What do we do now? The Order of Caldera. They are sworn to an oath protection. We can rely on them. No, we can't, King Gennaro. Alcaster also wants to kill you. Everyone wants to kill you, apparently. I don't know. Waltz glances down the hallway, his mouth drawn in a tight line. I see clear suspicion in his eyes. I look back at the king. The knights should have been here by now. Surely such a commotion should have brought them running. Now I know why Waltz is staring down the hallway. He's searching for the knights that are meant to pass through here. There's no possible way they did not hear the skirmish in my bedroom. The three of us push onward. I stand between the king and Waltz, waiting. I'm not entirely sure what I'm waiting for, but I can feel the tension in the air. We only stop moving when the voice cuts through the silence. It seems like Waltz is the stronger of the two, even though Mythos is all like, I'm obsessed with the queen, and I'm totally the stronger one because of my loyalty. I assume Waltz actually is the stronger one. I feel like Mythos is just jealous. I believe, in the last row, I believe he did say that Waltz was always the favorite, he did always actually liked Waltz better, probably because he was stronger and everything. Your Majesty. Okay, who's this? Oh, Alcaster? Sir Alcaster stops before us with a group of knights. His face is impassive at best. Waltz takes a step back as Sir Alcaster looks at the king. The king is quiet for a few moments, his eyebrows drawn together in a terse expression. He finally speaks. I'm about to declare a state of emergency. Where have you been? Seize them. Okay. His eyes are still on the knights in front of us when I hear footsteps from behind us. I'm nonplussed when a dozen of knights appear from the shadows and surround us. I look for Fritz in the cluster of knights, but he's not here. The king stares around him, baffled. What is the meaning of this? Could this be the reason why? What is happening? Another person. That voice. We all turn to watch the dining room's doors open. Ophelia enters with Emmeline and Rod. Several knights trail behind and flank them on either side, giving them no room for escape. Rod notices me and stares in shock, but says nothing. Gennaro! The minute she sees the king, she calls his name and attempts to run toward him. The knights only need to raise their swords and block her path to stop her. I think that kick takes care of all the intruders. Though I'm not happy that two managed to escape. Two? Jury and Garland. If they manage to escape, they might be able to get reinforcements. The king will be judged and convicted. His crown will be given to the one more worthy. I see. It was you who sent that letter, Alcaster? That's correct. Now, if you want to protect your family, you will hand over your crown. The king shakes with rage. Was this yours and Mythos' plan all along? To take down this kingdom at its heart? Sir Alcaster snorts and crosses his arms. Do not clump me together, snake. Both of us have different goals. It just so happens we both needed to be rid of you. What? You are a weak king, Gennaro. The kingdom of Angel needs someone who will rule with an iron fist. Yeah, we heard this story before. You're too soft, and so your subjects have become too dependent on your kingdom, blah blah blah. What was that? Social Darwinism, blah blah blah. How do you propose I run my kingdom? By instilling fear. There's no place for fear in this kingdom. It is a ruler's obligation to assuage the fears of his people. I cannot believe that you would do this, Sir Alcaster. Alcaster looks at me with disinterest. Lucette, correct? I have no business with you, but I suppose Mythos does. We've been backed into a corner. What do we do? I feel for my pocket, my hand touching the smooth surface of a vial. I can still remember the potion that Parfait gave me before we left. I'd forgotten I had this with me. Parfait told me to use the potion if we found ourselves in a difficult situation. She said it would give us time to escape. She did not even tell me what it does. I glanced at Waltz, who is eyeing the knights quietly. But it is possible that Waltz will be able to do something about this situation with his magic. I don't know, I mean, he is pretty powerful, but can he, like, take down all these knights? I don't know. Does he have, like, a AoE spell? And what was this potion? I believe this potion was used before, actually. I remember maybe like, I believe Dolora used the potion, you know? And, like, turn Mythos into ice or something? I don't know. Sure. Let's use it. Don't know what it does. Let's see. I reach into my pocket and slip the vial out. I open my fingers just long enough for Waltz to see it. He gives me a subtle nod before turning his attention to Sir Alcaster, who is still speaking with the king. I will make you regret your actions, Sir Alcaster. I throw the vial to the floor. Phew. The moment it shatters, a blinding white light envelops the room, forcing my eyes to close. My guess is that it probably uses the magic that Parfait would use, so... Waltz grabs me and pulls me away. Don't let them escape! Or maybe not, actually. I was thinking it would teleport us, maybe, but I guess not. I guess it's just like, you know, a blinding light, a flashbang. I hear a few grunts from the knights as Waltz begins to barrel his way through them. Run away! Waltz leads me into the throne room. We've all somehow made it out. Rod stands in between Ophelia and Emmeline. Rod must have pretty good eyes to be able to lead them both out of there in all that chaos. Good job back there, Lucette. I've never really realized you had a potion. Parfait gave it to me before she left on her urgent meeting. It's a good thing then. You saved me by using it, you know. Using a more complicated spell would have drained my energy. Why is this happening? Emmeline's eyes are filled with tears. Ophelia takes her into her arms and rubs her back in an effort to calm her. Oh, this is my fault. How could I have not foreseen this? Jurian was right about him. I should have listened to her. This is not your fault, Your Majesty. We don't have much time. We need to escape and tell Lady Parfait about this. It sounds like Jurian and Garland will be able to escape. It is possible they will soon bring reinforcement. Rod, you know these people. Rod is silent for a few moments before nodding at her. Yes, they're my friends. Friends? Rod just shrugs at me. More than likely, he just wants us to play along. Waltz paces the room, his arms crossed as he tries to think of something. Waltz? I haven't done this in a long time, but I can try to open a portal that leads back to the Martian. Witches can do that. I mean, Parfait can do that. But technically she's like a fairy, I guess. Only the most practiced witches. It only works if they have a clear image of where they want to go. Also, look at this photograph, you know? I guess, I don't know. Do photographs exist in this world? You know? Have we invented the camera yet? So can you do it? I can. I was taught by your mother, after all. Okay. Waltz starts waving his hand in front of him as he conjures a spell to open the portal. But the portal disappears as soon as it appears, or disappears. But what? The portal disappears as soon as it appears and fades again. Damn it! They're coming, Waltz. I'm doing my best, Princess. Waltz tries to cast a spell again. This time, the opening appears and stays. I did it. But this won't be open for long. Your Majesty, you must go first. No, let Ophelia and the children go first. Waltz nods as he ushers Ophelia and Emmeline into the portal. Though Rod is reluctant to step inside, I force him into the portal before me. I can't keep the portal open much longer, Lucette. I can manage one more person before I can need to recast it. You know what? Does this portal go to, you know, Martian, or does it go to the Netherworld, you know? Waltz, are you sure this portal is working properly? Anyway. Your Majesty, you must go. No. What? I do not have any intention of leaving. To leave this place is to abandon my kingdom. I will not flee like a coward. I will protect my throne until my last breath. But that would be suicide. He will not kill me. He may have managed to sway the order, but I have the people on my side. Killing me will cause an uprising, and that is the last thing he will want. That's a lot of faith into your own political sway, but I mean, I guess it's true. But if the king escaped, he will be able to fight from the outside. The castle and his crowd are symbols, but he is in danger if he stays here alone. I glance at Waltz and notice him paling. I could tell the magic is sapping his strength, making him weaker. I ball my hands into fists. I cannot leave the king here by himself. He is the king, and I'm the crown princess. Waltz, you will come back for me, right? What are you? Before he can react, I put my hands on his back and push with all the strength I can muster. Aya! Ah! Waltz stares at me in horror as he falls into his portal. I'm sorry. Waltz disappears, and the portal collapses in on itself, leaving me with the king. Oh. Both my mind and heart are numb as the knights approach, ready to surround us. The king and I sit on the floor with our hands tied behind our backs. There are two knights standing by the door to watch over us. I look at the king, who remains as quiet and solemn as before. He's been so calm. Does he have a plan? Why is it that you chose to stay with me? I'm surprised when he finally breaks the silence, because there are questions I need answers to. Besides, I cannot just leave you here. I have many things I need to ask you. King Gennaro falls silent as he stares at me. The gold of his eyes clearly reflects my own. I've never realized how similar our eyes are. Is it true? Are you really my daughter? Yes. I was given the fairy tale curse and turned into a peasant. My title was stolen from me and from the minds of the people. No one remembers who I am anymore. Cinderella. How did you know? I've noticed the glass slipper necklace on your neck, but the other slipper seems to be missing a piece. A piece? I look down and stare at the second slipper. My eyes widen when I notice the piece is bigger. We got our second good deed. Maybe at the same time when we, unlock Neverland, maybe the same white light somehow got, covered up by the other light when he got, transformed back into the adult, or I don't know. Anyway. But when this happened? Because, somehow we always get a good deed and we don't notice it, Sometimes I wonder, maybe when that white light happens, it's not so much from other things, Maybe it's from the actual necklace, and we assume it's from something else, that caused the white light to happen. Anyway, I consider and recall the moment I broke Waltz's curse. Was it when I broke Waltz's curse? This means I only have one more deed left to complete, but my birthday's tomorrow. It doesn't really matter if we get a good deed, because we break the curse anyway when it reaches our birthday, so we're really not in a rush, considering the circumstances as well, considering we're hostages and everything. Are you alright? Yes, I'm just worried. You've been through much today. Try and get some rest. You must reserve your energy. Hey, we're gonna sleep while our hands are tied behind our back, I guess. I don't know how we're gonna get to sleep like that. On the cold, hard floor, but alright. I'm not sure what he means, but either way, there's no way I could possibly sleep now. At least, this is what I tell myself. But as minutes pass by, I feel my eyes getting heavier. Eventually, I drift into a dreamless sleep. Lucette, you must wake up. I blink a few times, and when I come to, I find that I'm leaning on the king's shoulder. I fell asleep. The king glances back to the door. His eyes narrow slightly as he takes a deep breath. It's time to go. What? I turn toward the front doors and realize the knights guarding the room are missing. They will be back soon. We must hurry. I am surprised when the king pulls out of the ropes that were binding him. He holds a small knife in his hand, so he does have a plan. You know, we all in the other routes, you know, we always see him as either like a zombie or imprisoned or something, you know. So he never really does anything in the other routes, but I guess this time he can do something. How long has he's been out of his bindings? When did you free yourself? I think I have been sorely underestimated. I have been trained just as well as the knights. It goes without saying that I could get myself out of bindings. I am not so weak that I need to depend on others to protect me, even though I was like a hostage in all the other scenarios and didn't really do much. But anyway, it sounds like something I would say. But where did you get the knife? And made sure to take anything we had that could have been a weapon. Would it suffice to say that I pulled it from a hidden spot? Not many people think to look in a person's boots. The king leans down to cut my bindings, then lowers himself to the ground. His fingers brush the floor. What are you doing? Finding the keyhole. Ah, here we are. He pulls a small key from his pocket and fits it into a crevice in the floor. The floor gives a gentle, audible rumble. Was that key in your boot as well? The king pulls a towel from the floor, revealing a hidden staircase. There was a hidden staircase here, in the floor. An escape route, if one were ever needed. Only I know of its existence. Well, actually, that's not true. Several people know it, actually. Now, we must go before they return. I nod and follow after him. The king sets the panel in place as we descend down into the darkness. The floor rumbles once more as the hidden pathway closes behind us. Okay, so we do escape after all. Don't worry, we're fine. You know, I was thinking like maybe the Martian would come running to our rescue as we leave, so I don't know, that might cause a misunderstanding and like, hey, oops, passed by without knowing, but maybe not. Maybe we do escape or something. Well, let's see, I guess. Both of us walk in silence for some time. The only sound we hear are the echoes of our footsteps. I'm behind the king, staring at his back. He seems to have already recovered from his earlier injury. Or he could just be pretending that he's alright. How's your back? It doesn't hurt as much now, thank you for asking. Silence ensues once again. If this is getting awkward, maybe I should say something. Maybe not, I don't know. There's water. I don't know why, but I have like a stuffy nose. Hold on. Below my nose. Anyway, alright. Maybe I should say something. You know, sometimes I'm in this situation where, because I'm a big introvert, by the way. Sometimes I like to stay silent, even though nothing happens. You know, sometimes we should find solace in silence, you know. We don't have to fill in the dead air all the time, you know. But I don't know, maybe we should say something, actually. I cannot stand the silence any longer, and speak up before I lose my nerve. I'm sorry. Why are you apologizing? Because I've done nothing but cause you trouble. Ra told me once that when I disappeared, the king was the happiest he ever been, because I was not there. I'm sure if you had been given a chance to forget me or not, you would have chosen to forget me. No, it feels like I've been the cause of your pain, not the other way around. I feel as if I should be the one apologizing. I've been wondering for a while now. If you are indeed my daughter, why do you address me by title? Do you not call me father? I stop in my tracks and turn away. It's been years since I called you that. You were never there for me, so I stopped considering you my father. A deafening silence falls upon us. I'm sorry. Can you tell me why you distanced yourself from me? The king looks at me silently, with something like regret in his eyes. I want to slap myself for my foolish question. I literally slap myself. Blech, no. My apologies. I forgot that you did not remember me. You know, I've learned many things since I've been cursed, but the things I've learned do not answer my questions. I thought by staying here, I would finally chance on something, or upon some answers, some truth. I've always thought that only Mother loved me because you were never there for me. I'm sorry, I cannot give you the answers you seek. Well, I can understand why you would hate me. I'm a witch's daughter after all. Dear, do you know what transpired in the past? You mean with Mother? Dear threatened to kill the person I love, and if I did not marry her, she threatened to kill Ophelia. The king looks down, his face contorted with anger. And I assume you also like, birds and the bees as well. So isn't that kind of weird scenario? Like a witch out of nowhere forces you to have... Anyway. Parfait said that Mother already broke their rules long before she took over the kingdom. Her hands were already stained with blood. And I imagine it wasn't like a loveless relationship as well, so isn't that that's just weird, I guess, I don't know. I won't let any more of my loved ones die in her hands. I had no choice back then. I married her, and because I refused to let her hurt Ophelia. I hated that woman for ruining my life and my kingdom. I know. I recall when he thanked Waltz for saving the kingdom. Can you tell me who Waltz was? Waltz? He was Hidir's apprentice, who was powerful considering the second strongest among the witches. Really? He was a child prodigy. That's why Hidir ordered his family killed when they refused to give him to her. Waltz didn't find out about that until much later. Mother killed Waltz's family? I cannot believe this. Just how many lives did she take? Probably a lot. He kills a lot. When he did find out, he betrayed Hidir. He divulged her plans to the fairies and helped them defeat her. Okay, so that's probably a very reasonable betrayal when you think about it. I gave him a copy of the key to the secret tunnels so that he could be delivered to the Lucis bearer. Mythos is all like, oh, you betrayed the Hidir, how dare you betray our sensei, and it's like, well, Mythos, she kind of killed my family, so I can't feel the same way you do about her. So this is how Parfait got the copy of the key. I guess, is there, I don't know how we're, maybe there's a parallel here, Waltz initially was like an orphan, right? Or at least, his family got killed and everything, so he became an orphan. Kind of like Peter Pan, Peter Pan never had a family as well, never had parents and everything. So I guess there's a bit of a parallel there. Anyway, what was I saying? I was like, give him the copy to get the secret tunnels. Then Hidir cursed him for betraying her. Okay, so that's, we've been hinting like that for a long time actually. How did Waltz know about the key, and how does Parfait know about the key, to the secret tunnels and everything? The King General did say, only I know about this place, about the secret tunnel, but actually a lot of people know. Rod knows, Waltz knows, Parfait knows. I guess Rod knows because Parfait knows, and anyway. I do not know how you two know each other, but it is very obvious to me that he's loyal to you and cares about you. He was the type of person that expressed that loyalty plainly, so I can tell. I do not know why the king decided to comment on such a thing, but my cheeks are suddenly warm. You care for him. Do I? He's a good man. I'm totally shipping you two together. It's fine. How do we even get to this conversation? The two of us are still walking when the king suddenly stops, and I nearly bump into him. Ah, here we are. This should bring us into a passage that leads into the gardens. I follow his gaze to the rusty door. He slowly approaches the door. Stay close to me. I nod at him. He turns the knob and pulls open the door. His dad's like saying, her dad suddenly being all like, now kiss. That's... The king and I can only gape at the sight in front of us. It's the last thing you expect to see behind the door. Mother? Oh yeah, because the crystal was kept here. And everything. I'm surprised we didn't see this crystal in the other routes. We saw it, we saw it in the last route, right? We saw because Mythos showed us, but like, I'm surprised by going through all these secret tunnels every time and all the other routes we didn't see this crystal. I feel that I cannot trust my eyes, because it is indeed Mother standing before us. Hey, don't release her. She's going to kill everyone, again, if you do that. It looks the same as when I last saw her, like she's just been sleeping all of this time. What is Hidir doing here? Is that the Crystallum Tenebrarum? She looks like she's been trapped inside the crystal, but how? No, she passed on 4 years ago. This is impossible. A lovely surprise, isn't it? You know, I guess she's also naked, by the way. I guess that's why Mythos loves watching this crystal. Anyway. The king immediately moves to stand in front of me. Sir Mythos saunters toward us with a wise smile on his face, looking unperturbed. Isn't she exquisite? Even in slumber, she's still so beautiful. Nom 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 nom. What is the meaning of this, Mythos? When Mythos does not answer, the king reaches for his knife and frowns. And by the way, oh yeah, but I don't know, this just pops up in my, it just popped up in my head, but like, Mythos, by the way, kind of reminds me of Kuroshitsuji, or Black Butler, I guess. You know, that anime with like a butler, and kind of looks the same, sort of. No, it's a darker hair, you know, and everything, but kind of reminds me of him. What exactly are you and Alcaster planning? I'm offended you associate the two of us. My goals are different from Alcaster's. My only wish is to see my queen again. Alcaster is the only one who is after your throne. What are you going to do with Mother? I plan to revive her. Nani? For like the 5th time. I stare at Sir Mythos, shocked. Revive Mother? Is it even possible to bring back the dead? It's totally possible, just use a phoenix down. No, she is still alive, dear princess. My queen is only sleeping. Her link to the Tenebrarum has allowed her to survive all these years. She infused the last of her power with the crystal and merged with it. She was wise, yet even as its light grows dimmer, so too does the light of her life come close to being extinguished. Once you have fully accepted your role as the new bearer of the Crystallum Tenebrarum, her link with it will be severed and she will die. That's why I need you, princess. I need your powers to bring her back to life. What? On your 18th birthday, you will inherit the crystal's powers, and with that power you will revive my queen. Isn't this what you've always wanted? To have your beloved mother back? It is true that I've always wished for Mother to come back, but Delore and Buffet told me the truth, and now that's the last thing that I want. What if Mother ruins the kingdom once again, like she does in the last timeline? I will not let that happen. I will not let my kingdom fall into darkness again. The king charges towards Sir Mythos with a knife in his hand. Oh, again, this is not gonna work, king. Naro. But Sir Mythos easily sends him flying backward with a flick of his wrist and a magic spell. The knife falls to the ground just a few feet from where I stand. Your Majesty! I'm about to run to him when Vark steps out of the darkness of the room and points a sword at the king's throat. And again, you know, King Gennaro, he did say, like, only I know about these secret tunnels, yeah, here was Mythos and Vark, everyone's just here. I feel like the secret tunnels is not very secret. Don't move, princess, otherwise my hand might slip. I freeze in my spot. Has he been here this whole time? Now, princess, you have an important decision to make. Help me revive the queen and save the king, or run away and he dies. My life is nothing compared to the lives that we lost with Dear's brought back. I would gladly trade my life for any of the lives she would steal. Foolish king. You cannot gamble with your life when it is no longer in your hands. Sir Mythos growls the king before facing me once again. He flashes a crooked smile. How about it, princess? You know what? We have to show compassion, I feel like. Because if we run away, it doesn't solve anything. So, maybe we can just buy some time, even if we agree, we can like, you sure, I agree, and we slowly walk towards him as our friends burst in, right? Or something like that? I don't know. I may not have a good relationship with the king, but I cannot forsake his life. Defeated, I nod at Sir Mithros. I will help you, Mithros. A wise decision, princess. Lucette, don't! The king suddenly cries out in pain as Varg plunges his sword into his arm. Ow! What? You... The king's sleeve is slowly dyed maroon with his blood. I would stop talking if I were you, your majesty. Stop! I cringe at the sight of the king's blood. You said you wouldn't hurt him. A small wound won't kill him, your highness. He's still alive, after all. Varg, kindly escort our lovely guests to a comfortable prison cell. I take a few steps back as Varg approaches us. All I manage to do is back myself into a wall. Varg looks at me amused, like a cat toying with a mouse. He takes another step, but I did not get to see the movements he makes afterward. A bright light engulfs the area, eliciting an agitated hiss from Mithros. Magic? But how? When the light clears, Varg is still standing, his eyes on my feet. I follow his gaze. Oh, okay, we get those slippers somehow. My shoes have been replaced with 2 beautiful glass slippers. I broke my curse? What did I do? The king looks at me, his eyes hazy. He opens his mouth to speak, but then stops when Mithros comes to hover just above him. His expression fixed into a glare. Oh, how charming. But your broken curse will not help you now, princess. Now be a good girl and allow Varg to escort you to your cell. Okay? I was wondering, maybe, our friends will help us out. They threw a flashbang, but no, it's just our slippers. Like, hey, broke a curse. But that doesn't do anything, so oh well. Varg takes us to one of the prison cells and locks us up. This time, be a good girl and don't try to escape. I scowl at him, he only smirks in response. Feisty as always. He flashes me a lopsided smile before taking his leave. Lucette. The king collapses to the ground with his back to one of the walls. I quickly run to his side so that I can inspect his wound. Does he have anything I can use to tend to this wound? I notice something in one of his pockets and quickly lean forward to pull it out, a handkerchief. It is small, but it'll have to do. I take the king's handkerchief and wrap it around his wounded arm. I'm sorry, your injury is my fault. The king cups my cheek and turns my head so that I'm facing him. The gesture is so gentle it moves me to tears. A father should be able to protect his child, always. His face is twisted in pain as he stares at me, eyes brimming with tears. I see the recognition in his eyes. Having reunited with my father like this makes me realize that I still care for him. Please, forgive me. I already have. The words take a great weight off my heart. It is as if the ice has been shrouding it for so long is finally melting away. Without another word, my father throws his arms around me, wrapping me in a warm embrace. This is the first time he has ever hugged me. I feel tears brimming in my eyes, and soon I'm crying as I bury my face into my father's shoulder. Is it the bloody shoulder or the normal shoulder? Because, tears might make it worse. I don't know. I'm sorry. Please forgive me, my dear daughter. We stay like this for what seems like a lifetime, bleeding against each other and crying, silently asking for forgiveness. Once we are more relaxed and I sit down beside my father, I tell him what has transpired since I was cursed. His expression becomes darker with every word that I speak. You have suffered so much, I've not been able to ease that suffering in any way. No, my life as a commoner showed me things I never appreciated before. It was more fulfilling than my life in the palace. moment I became cursed might be the first moment I truly started living. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, that's like a common moral, isn't it? Like, you know, a rich person or noble, you know, turn to a peasant and they learn, you know, all the things that they should be concentrating on, that should be, you know, making them happy. That's not like money and everything. But to be honest, Lucette would have died if it weren't for the fact that, you know, the Laura and the Martian saved her in the first place. So I don't know. Anyway, I take a deep breath as I contemplate the question that's been in my heart all this time. Or at least, well, maybe she wouldn't die necessarily, but she would have been mugged and everything, right? And, you know, she probably wouldn't be able to survive. In fact, she might have had like a more like cruel outlook of life, you know, if she had stayed a peasant and not have been saved by Dolora and the others, right? And everything. She didn't have like clothes, and like the tavern gave her a place to live and everything. She actually would have been more of like an ice princess, even more, right? If she continued living without her friends, you know, saving her and everything. In fact, she might have ended up as a deer. I don't know. Anyway, Your Majesty, have you ever loved me? I'm terrified, but I still force myself to look right at the king. I've always loved you, Lucette. I value you more than my own life. I don't know why I couldn't read that. You are my everything, my daughter. I blink at him, my eyes filled with tears. I've waited so long to hear those words from you. If you loved me, why were you not there for me? Why did you let Mother do this to me? Was it because I was her daughter? It is true that you are her daughter, but you are also mine. I don't even remember how we... His voice trails off, and he avoids my eyes. He sighs softly. I was put under a spell that night. Months later, you came along. Okay, so you were... date rape? Basically, is that what happened? Damn it, Hadir. Months later, you came along. I thought I could never bring myself to love you, not when you were the witch's daughter. But you were different. She was darkness and you were light. And then she corrupted you. The deer forbade me to get close to you. She was afraid that I would influence you to betray her. She told me that she would steal you away completely if I ever approached you. I couldn't bear the thought of losing my own daughter, so I did as she demanded. I had to watch you grow up from afar. I had to push you away. Yeah, some parts of the story kind of messed up. Yeah, when you think about it, it is kind of messed up. That's messed up. Yadir is messed up. Yadir is, I guess, irredeemable, you know? Unfortunately. Despite how beautiful she looks, you know, she's quite evil. The only thing I could do for you was to help you celebrate your birthday every year. The birthday surprises every year. Letters that led me to the secret birthday rooms. Those surprises were always the highlight of my birthday. This whole time, it was you who planned those surprises? Yeah, okay, yeah. I think she mentioned that in the very beginning, actually. Birthdays, where she always like received a letter from an anonymous, you know, person, I guess, and then, you know, she always found gifts and everything. She didn't know who it was, but I guess it was Gennaro. I cannot let you know that it was I who planned those surprises. The beautiful smile that you had on your face when you saw your gifts was more than enough. I'm really sorry for everything, Lucette, for not being a good father, for not being there for you, for pushing you away. After your mother died, he pauses and shakes his head. After I thought she died, I thought I might make it up to you, but I failed miserably as your father. You are already so far away from me. I tried to get close to you, but I drove you away. I do not blame you. I think back to all those times when he tried to talk to me or approach me. I would always walk away or refuse to talk to him, because I hated him. I was convinced he didn't love me. I tried, but I tried too late, and not hard enough. I should have tried to better understand you. I should have tried harder to see what your mother had done to you. I never expected any sort of forgiveness, and yet you still gave it to me. But now, I am at a loss as to what I can do to make it up to you. But you're here now, right? I smiled at him hesitantly, and he smiles back. He leans forward to place a kiss on my forehead, even as he wipes a tear away. I love you, Lucette. I love you too, Father. He rests his hand on my cheek. Allow me to make it up to you. Allow me to protect you. You cannot bring her back, Lucette. There will be too many consequences. But if I refuse to help them, they will kill you. Father shakes his head and smiles. If I have to give up my life to give you and our kingdom a brighter future, then so be it. Princess, it's almost time to go. Father moves to stand in front of me. I won't let you take her. Varg doesn't answer. He silently taps his cane to the ground, creating the same energy force as before, sending Father back into the wall with an invisible force. Father! Father staggers back to his feet and gazes at me with a pained expression. Don't do this, Lucette. I ball my hands into tight fists. I have no other choice. I'm sorry, Father, but I cannot let them kill you. I try to smile at him reassuringly before walking away with Varg. The last thing I hear him is calling my name before Varg closes the door, and there's silence in the hallway. Like, Lucette, Lucette, no!